representing. However, I do feel like Shadow Shadette, this is his tournament. I feel like it is time. He's focused. He's ready. He's been there and so close so many different times.
He's ready to break the curse.
Yeah, he's ready to break his own curse of just getting to the finals. All right, so it looks like Havencraft banned out for JJ4 and Daria banned out for ZEROFYNE. Interesting. I think this actually puts JJ4 in a winning scenario now. Really just depends on how this Havencraft deck performs for ZEROFYNE. This is two decks that I feel like can just beat Havencraft. We have talked about the fact that Themis' Decree is one of the ways to beat Daria, though, so that could be the decider.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the big reasons to play Havencraft right now is because it is one of the only crafts that has that option.
That's right, and if you play Control Bloodcraft, you can't play Vengeance Blood or Aggro Blood, like one of the better decks in the format. So it's very interesting choices that you have to make. And really the only other deck that we talked about that can really beat Daria or go over the top of it is Dragoncraft. But even then we saw it suffer even with perfect draws. You know what I mean? It can just clump up.
Looking at this opening can from ZEROFYNE and going second. So that actually is important because there is a point in time where you don't have access to Themis' Decree and your opponent could have a strong turn 5 board.
You know, just like in Daria, in the case of our streams, we've seen these Vengeance Blood players, even in rotation, get their Belphegor pretty often for turn 4. Pretty likely. I know that when I don't play Vengeance Blood at all. The reason I don't play Vengeance Blood at all, because I never draw Belphegor, ever. This is, of course, you know, confirmation bias. However, if I feel like I can't draw a card, I'm just not going to play the deck anymore. If you don't ever draw Belphegor in most of your matchups, you're just going to lose.
Yeah. It's very hard for you because a lot of your cards are just weaker or just early game stuff that can be pretty effective but not effective enough to actually close out the game, right?
And you can win. I'm not saying you can't. I've done it plenty of times winning without drawing Belphegor. It's just, it's not... I want to be doing more powerful things and not relying on something that I have to draw. That's why I play Havencraft. I think Havencraft's great.
Yeah. Again, Havencraft is a lot about kind of options that can find the ones that you need.
It has
good, efficient plays.
The best version of a Dark Air Jammer, I believe, in the form of Aether of the White Wing. You just have so much control over your deck and how you build it and what you can pull on every given turn, especially with Globe of the Stairways, too. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's Starways? Stairways? Stairways doesn't really make sense. Yeah, Starways.
Yeah.
But it just controls what you can do, especially if you don't want to play Tribunal in the deck. You know you're always going to pull a 2-drop Amulet if that's the case, if you want to do it, things like that. You can even play it in the Seraph deck and only play Seraphs outside of Globe. And then you have a tutor for your Seraph. So I like all of the options that Haven has access to these days.
Oh boy, Urias. The Spaghetti Master.
Throwing spaghetti at the opponent. Absolutely.
Look at that guy go.
So much damage.
And now he's going to get cudgeled.
Yeah, we don't see this very often in rotation anymore because Beast Call Arya is out, but Urias is very good against it because it just gets this insane 2 damage just right off of the bat. It's awesome.
I really like this situation because that Priest is the cudgel. Now, this is the big thing about Spiderweb Imp. If you have enough damage to go over the 4 defense that Spiderweb Imp offers, you're left with a very, very beefy follower. Now, Priest of the Cudgel still at 4 defense, so it can be evolved over as a trade. But then you need to start thinking about your resources, right? Now there's this second 4/4 follower in the Tiger that you haven't dealt anything to, and it can evolve onto a 6/6. So, you know, Spiderweb Imp being at 1 attack, I guess the statement is that it can be a downside.
Absolutely. And I really like the play that JJ4 is going with. I think he's also going to use the Diabolic Drain this turn just to clear out this entire board because this is the only tempo play that you're really expecting the Havencraft player to make. They've got this one big tempo push. If you deal with it, now you're just comfortable again.
Yep. The Red Hot Boots, though.
Red Hot Boots pretty good. Ancient Lion Spirit off the top, not too bad. He's got definitely a couple different options. He can go Tribunal plus a Blackened Scripture. Do a lot of things here. Technically, yeah. Could play the Globe just to see what he draws too. I like it. I like that he's applying pressure every single turn. So the way that ZEROFYNE is playing this game is he's saying, you're going to have to deal with something at least once per turn on my side of the board. Otherwise, I'm going to threaten big damage.
And it's something real. The big thing is if you play non-follower removal, you give less reason for your opponent to respond with an evolution orb, and taking away those resources is so important when you're fighting against Vengeance, because you do not want any of that going face.
Absolutely. And a play like this especially, when you can see a Razor Claw going to one of your followers instead of your face, feels amazing.
Ambling Wraith down, and really, it, like you said, without that card draw, it's actually, you're running low on options here, right? This is basically it. Emeralda, Scarlet Sabre, good options, but if you can't close out the game, you're living off the top.
Yep, and only with one evolution orb left, it means that he can't do like running Emeraldas to finish the game immediately, not even Dark General. Scarlet Sabre definitely doesn't do damage face anymore, thankfully.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days.
And now I think this is where Havencraft tries to just ride the game out. This is the ideal scenario. If you can kind of control the board situation here, you just kind of play your turns until you just eventually win, while Vengeance Blood puts together non-threatening boards that you can continuously deal with.
Yep, and I doubt he's going to use the Evolution Orb here. It's kind of scary to do so. However, it could be a thought that, you know what, if he doesn't have a Tribunal, he doesn't have an Evolution Orb left, so he can't really evolve over this. So this might be my best chance to win the game in 2 turns. Of course, we know that ZEROFYNE does, in fact, have the Tribunal, unfortunately for JJ4.
Yep, kind of the last stand. Oh, man. If you had Summon's Temple.
Telling you, man, Summit Temple just feels so right in Havencraft. Everything is skewed that way in Havencraft.
Yeah.
You can even play it along things like Snake Priestess to go ham early.
The fact that it's so cheap, I think, really sells the card to me.
Yeah, it's cheap, and it's technically card draw. You can't really ever go wrong with it, right? If you draw extras of it, it'll just replace itself. You get to draw a card immediately. You don't have to wait like Sacred Plea. It's good stuff.
So now ZEROFYNE just figuring out the best way to deal with this kind of really the last big threat, I feel like. There's still potential to lose, but
I mean, a single Belphegor could end the game, right? Into like double Razor Claw or something like that, something crazy. There are definitely ways for Vengeance Blood to win here. And honestly, with the hand that ZEROFYNE has, he doesn't really have a way to aggress JJ4 out of the game. So JJ4 has plenty of time to draw something. And honestly, he's just got to ping away, like Angel of the Word to the face, along with, you know, a Spiderweb Imp here. Next turn, maybe even another Angel of the Word, pop him to 4, and then you just draw a Dark General, you know, then the game's over.
You are my food.
Yeah, ZEROFYNE needs to respect the potential options that's coming down the way. And that actually does put some pressure on ZEROFYNE. He just needs to make sure he's playing good cards turn after turn here. He's already gotten into a situation where the most dangerous period of the game is past, but being at 6 defenses or 6 health on your leader is not the most ideal situation. And at least as far as we see, I don't think there's anything like a Curate or anything like that. So
here we go. I think this is a pretty good option too. I think a Themis into John, even though you don't get the effects off of Light John, you still need to be applying pressure. Again, you need to end the game in some sort of a quick fashion, otherwise you will just give JJ4 too much time. You don't necessarily have to Themis this turn. I feel like it's the best way to deal with the entire board. Oh, never mind. This is good too. This will work. You get the same effect. You don't actually lose your Snow White here. Perfect. Yep.
Get maximum effect out of the Snow White.
Way better. All right. This is what I'm talking about. Now you can just double Angel of the World and top deck that Dark General and that game. But
so you've got 4 damage plus 3 on the swing back for ZEROFYNE, right?
Yep.
Because the Heavenly Knight will actually get the Storm.
Heavenly Knight, that is true.
And that puts up the ward as well. So that's going to make things pretty tough. Basically feels like direct damage is the biggest way to win for JJ4622 because I don't really see much of reason not to play the ward at that point.
Yeah. He doesn't know about the Heavenly Knight yet, though, so I feel like this is the play. I don't think you try to go defensive with these. I think you just have to try to push for as much damage as you can. You're out of cards, so you got to get there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think JJ462 is being played into a corner here. Ooh, there's a healing.
Interesting. Cannot play the healing alongside of the Heavenly Knight, unfortunately, so has to make that choice. And I think being at 4 with no cards in hand would probably err me to going with the ward instead, but it looks like ZEROFYNE wants to go with the healing. No problem there. definitely a safe play.
Yeah, and this almost requires that JJ4622 needs multiple cards, whereas putting the ward down, or rather, you know, leaving yourself at 4 defense.
Yeah, opens up Belphegor plays and things like that, absolutely. So now we're going to see JJ4 do everything he can to try to stay alive, and he is going to manage one more turn out of this. Now, the real question is, are there any 2 cards he can draw off of Belphegor to win through a ward? I don't think so.
Yeah.
He's at 7 defense.
Oh, boy, and this was a slow burn towards the end of the game here for Vengeance. But that's what Havencraft does,
yeah,
you know?
That's what it does. It just plays the value game all day.
Oh, man. This pool of Belphegor.
Wow.
Oh, that was really close. That was
Wow.
really, really close. That was so close, but 1 defense is all that's left on the leader, so any card that remains will be able to close it out.
So let's consider another thing that happened in this game. There was a Razory Claw that did not go face this game on the side of JJ4. Was it worth it to slow the tempo of a Havencraft player and not leave yourself open the option to have that go face?
Yeah, and remember the Frog Clerk came down, right? It could be the difference of that Razory Claw allowing the 2 Angel of the Words to close out the game before the Frog Clerk was drawn.
That's true.
There's so many different ways to kind of look at it, but that's looking very far into the game. Tough scenario.
Just things
I
to think
think
about.
4622 made a lot of great choices in the game.
Absolutely.
But just not quite enough to give him the winning situation.
I think the only thing that you can really, and this isn't, guys, this isn't me harping on a player. This isn't me saying he's bad. You know, this is just me looking at the game so that I can give you insights on what to think about in your next games. And that the only thing that I could see in that entire game is that Razory Claw could have been pointed to face. Is the only real difference he could have made in the game. Could he have done that without dying to the tempo of Havencraft? You know, it depends on how that rest of the game that played out. But that was the only play he specifically made that could have changed the tide of the game.
Well, he's down a game, but not out yet. And so JJ4622 has the opportunity to keep playing and try to push back here.
That's right. Let's see if he can do it. So he's got blood versus blood now. I feel like this errs on the side of who can basically just draw more storm cards and or more burn. That's what we've seen so far. Player with 3 Razory Claws tends to win this matchup.
We saw that today.
Yes, we did.
The Razory Claws are so important. It is definitely a downside, you know, in the sense of sometimes you do too much damage to yourself. We talked about that 12 health, 14 health territory. It's very easy for Razory Claw to push you into that zone.
Especially if you're a player in this matchup who likes to play Belphegor on 4. If you do it, your opponent could just be like, oh, okay, Razory Claw, you know, kill you.
Yep.
You got to be careful.
It's a very volatile matchup.
And it looks like all the players opting for Hungering Horde. You know what? In Unlimited, just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Hungering Horde can... I mean, if you add up, if you're going to do the very simplified method of looking at its value, right? 3 damage to 3 targets is a lot of removal for 2 play points.
Right. When you can actually clear out a board that is usually imposing with Wood of Brambles, right, in the Aggro Forest Craft matchup, and just basically negate all of that advantage that they were going to get, probably feels very good.
Yeah. The value of hitting multiple targets, affecting multiple things, is really, really...
See, this is the exact play I'm talking about. This is what you have to be careful of, because this is going into the evolve turn of ZEROFYNE. Technically, he can evolve, attack for 4, and double Razory Claw in the same turn and just win the game. Belphegor is so dicey.
And, I mean, this could happen right here, right? Blood Wolf, evolve face.
I like this. I like this. Evolve the ward. Go face. I would even play the Blood Wolf. I see no reason not to.
Yeah. I mean... You kind of want to get to 10.
Wow, he could be saving it for the Evo. He could be saving it for the Evo.
Which I think is great, maximizing your damage.
However, if this ward isn't able to be gotten through, then he really wasted damage.
Yeah.
So interesting.
This is my home. You are my food. Go! Go!
Yeah, I like the way this is going. Really has to put those wards out now to protect. If you play the Belphegor first, you definitely have to protect every single turn afterwards. Does have a Grimnir to follow up with as well.
Oh. A Dark General, but Vengeance is not activated for ZEROFYNE.
That's true. I think that's perfectly fine. I think when you play the Belphegor, you just kind of back yourself into a corner. This is why I do not recommend playing Belphegor on 4 in this matchup. At any time, you just lose.
Yep. I think once you get to this territory starts to become a little more dangerous with ZEROFYNE because there are a lot of good combinations of cards you can play with Vengeance if those were available in hand. And plays another Belphegor. Has a lot of Emeraldas. The Brazier Claws, again, this is only something that you can use really to close out the game because you're not going to want to put yourself in the situation where you're even lower in health, you know?
Right. Still at 6 and open, and
that's the Evolve with the Dark General and the Blood Wolf. Oh, he doesn't have the Vengeance yet.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, my gosh.
There we go.
Yep. Too dangerous. It's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. I cannot recommend.
And really, this is another one of those matchups, just like when you're playing against any other aggressive deck, the game is how can you force your opponent to put themselves in Vengeance for you, to put themselves at 10 for you, while you maintain your options in hand, right?
ZEROFYNE's going to take this one, and that's exactly it. When you're playing in a matchup where there's so much burn and so much storm damage, it's exactly that turn order, too. If you're on the draw and your opponent plays a Belphegor into your evolution turn, you literally can just win the game that turn.
Yeah.
If they just haven't played any burn spells, because they're not going to that early in the game. They're going to wait for the game to get a little bit longer so that they can force you to play your Belphegor to get card draw and all that kind of stuff.